Joan Hawxhurst is our guest speaker today. She is Director of KRESA Career Programs. She has a KRESA Career Champions program to organize Climate Career Day for high schools, and her job is really to bring people into a career development paths.
Thank you, Nikki. So thank you all so very much. I am super honored and a little bit sheepish to be among the stellar folks who are on this call. I have hung around the edges of the KCCC community for a good long chunk of time now, and I'm happy to be having an opportunity to share the way that I have found, and then in a little bit of, I'm modeling a little bit what we're hoping for our young people to do. The way that I have found in my job as, I don't direct anything, but I am a career development consultant at Kalamazoo RESA's Career Connect. So I do a lot of different things, but one of the things I do is direct a program called Career Champions. And one of my teams this year is doing something very exciting. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. But all because of Nikki, I thought I might start with a little bit of context, some of the why behind why we're doing what we're doing, then a little bit of the logistics, how this program is set up, and then I promise I will get to the Working for the Climate event that is taking place on Earth Day. So I am totally fine with people interrupting anywhere along the way if you have questions. I did put a QR code so that if you are interested in having a copy of the deck that I am going to run through pretty quickly now, you can do that. The reason it might be helpful is because there are a whole lot of statistics and charts and things that I'm going to just briefly look at with you. But if you're a parent or an educator in particular, you might actually be interested in going back and looking more closely at some of the information on projected demand for jobs in our community. So with that, I'll start with the big picture. No one on this call is unaware of this, but what we see, even at KRESA, even among K-12 educators, is the stress that young people are feeling about climate change and their futures, right? So probably you already know these numbers, but a global study of just a few years ago showed us that 62% of folks between the ages of 16 and 25 are anxious about climate change, and 39% reported feeling depressed. And then 45% of those same folks reported that those negative feelings that they're having affected their daily life and their functioning. So as someone who's trying to help young people think about hopeful futures and careers where they can make an impact and make a life, it seemed really important for me to try to encourage opportunities for us to address this directly. The other thing is, without even factoring in climate change, young people are really uncertain about their futures, right? Here's another survey where almost half are saying that they don't know. They're uncertain about their future career paths. And that at the same time, they're interested in finding a job that aligns with their values, but that's not necessarily an easy thing to do. It's not necessarily an easy thing to connect the dots between a career path and how one can live out one's values within that. So we also know that at a national level, jobs that one might call climate jobs are plentiful and purposeful. It's so easy right now online to find lots of articles and reports and resources if a young person looks for climate jobs, ways to fight climate change as a professional. And it's really clear that the industry of career development is starting to recognize that every job will have a climate component. The health sciences, accountants, farmers, you can't, again, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but young people maybe haven't yet made that connection, right, of how their future is going to be, as a professional, is going to be impacted and connected to the impacts and opportunities to mitigate climate change. So again, just there are podcasts out there. There are fact sheets on climate jobs. There's just been a lot of energy recently in trying to create resources and to make the case for people who are thinking about their futures that there will be lots and lots of jobs in and around, especially the energy industry, which I don't know if you know, but Michigan is one of the few states that has added a 17th career cluster called energy, in addition to the 16 that most of the country observes when organizing and sorting career paths. So if we look specifically at jobs related to climate change. I'm trying to find where to put you all so that I can see the numbers here. You can see that there is a lot of growth at the national level. We're about halfway through this decade of the numbers that you see here, but you can see that some of the highest large numbers of new environmental scientists are needed. Large numbers of obviously the folks on the ground, the service technicians, the photovoltaic installers. Just wanted you to see that there is projected to be a great amount of growth, at least, hard to know how much of that will be stymied in the next few years. But at this point, these are the numbers that we know about. So this is zooming out even farther, right? So we were looking previously at the top occupations within the realm of climate jobs, but this is the actual top 10 occupations overall projected during this decade. And what's interesting is to see that number 1 and number 3 on that list of all jobs that will be growing the most are those boots on the ground folks, right? Wind turbine service techs, photovoltaic installers. And it might interest you to take a quick look at the rest of the jobs on this list. And if you are counseling a young person, or if you are an aging person who may be having a need for one of these many opportunities in the healthcare profession, you can see what the trends are saying. And again, I'm gonna let you go back and look at that more closely later if you'd like. Oops. The other thing I wanted to point out at the national level is that considering the impact of environmental decisions is being included in this new career ready practices document that's put out by the National Organization of Career and Tech Educators. So why is this important? All kinds of people are making all kinds of lists of future ready skills, right? This one is being widely recognized and put into practice. And of the 12 practices that they are saying youth need to have to be ready for their professions, one of them is considering the environmental and social impacts of their decisions. So alongside thinking critically, alongside communicating clearly, alongside managing time and being resilient, is the importance of considering environmental and social impact. So that to me is a new-ish observation on the part of career development folks. I wanted to give you just a sec to look a little more closely at that one career ready practice, just to see what folks in our industry of preparing youth for future careers are noticing and recognizing about the importance of this one practice. Ethical decision-making, developing sustainability and environmental literacy skills. I love that that is starting to be included across the board for folks like me who are trying to build resources for helping young people prepare. That's our time with at the national level, and I am going to zoom in now to what things look like in Michigan and even in our region. So the state of Michigan actually does a really lovely job of creating resources that are easy to understand and interpret to help people see what the job outlook is like in our state and in our region. And I don't really expect you to be able to see this. I know it's tiny. Another reason I gave you the QR code so that you could take a look at this later yourselves. But the important thing to recognize about this list, which is the 50 jobs through 2032 that are going to be the 50 high wage, high demand jobs through 2032. And what that means is that the data folks have pulled together a cross section of the projected growth in these different positions, and they have to have a minimum hourly wage. So we've winnowed out the low wage jobs here and are really looking at the hot jobs, the things that young people might want to think about if they want to be in Michigan. And the thing that you'll notice if you can read the tiny print is that you could say electrician perhaps is directly a climate career, but otherwise, most of these things don't have an obvious connection to climate change that a young person would necessarily see. They might not see that being a registered nurse, which has a huge projected growth in numbers during this decade, or financial analysts or physical therapists, they might not see the direct connections to climate change. And one of the things that this group of educators that I'm going to introduce in a minute wanted to do was to help students start to broaden their understanding of what can be a good career and also what can fulfill my passion and my need to be involved in adapting, mitigating climate change. So we'll zoom in a little more. This is Southwest Michigan, a similar set of careers. I've got two slides here, the front and back of the brochure. And I wanted to show that, again, the only super obvious climate career in Southwest Michigan that is a high demand, high wage opportunity through 2030 is being an environmental scientist. And probably people on this call know more what that means than I do. But if you look at high demand, high wage jobs at all the different entry points, so we've got a column here for just after secondary training. So maybe you do an apprenticeship program or you do a work-based learning program or one of the workforce development programs that might be coming through KCCC sometime soon. There's a list of those that are high demand, high wage. There's also associate level or apprenticeships and obviously bachelor's level degree jobs coming our way in Southwest Michigan. And again, we see that there aren't jobs that students are going to naturally, instinctively see are the jobs that they can do to be involved in climate action. So next, I wanted to just point out some things that we're starting to learn by looking at the data in an online career awareness and exploration platform called Zello that KRESA provides to all of the districts in our county, K-12. So this is about the fourth year that this Zello platform has been available to students across the county. So we're starting to be able to see some trends emerge. And one of the things that we're noticing is that our students have broad interest. This is, these next two slides are 6 to 12, grades 6 through 12, students who have indicated interest in a cluster of careers. So they've got really broad interests. You see, if you can read it, you see arts and tech, communications, you see health science, you see STEM, human services, education and training. So students are interested theoretically in a broad range of future possibilities. But when you drill down to specific careers, their aspirations are really limited. And often they're limited by the culture that's around them, right? So if you think about what students might be seeing online or on TV or what they might be most exposed to, it might not be surprising that professional athlete is by far the largest saved career among grade 6 through 12 students in our county. Might not be that surprising that actor comes second, right? That's what they see in their day-to-day lives. These numbers switch around a little bit, and we know that social influencer is another one that often is as high on the list. But one of the things that we're really hoping to do with the Career Champions program is to help young people see a broader range of what they can be. And we believe that this event that I am getting closer and closer to talking to is an opportunity to do just that. I would have been remiss had I not pointed out that there is some really great work going on already in the community, in the education community, to connect climate change to academic content, right? So, for example, our friend Alan Webb is an expert, right, on how we connect learning about the climate crisis with English language arts. And we know that that kind of work in the classroom is going on in pockets around the county. But what we don't know is how often that great disciplinary work is connecting to possible futures for our young people. We also know that there are pockets of youth who are doing amazing advocacy and action work in Kalamazoo County. And just wanted to point out the stellar work of the folks who are supporting Ardea and the Nature Center in supporting really amazing opportunities for young people to practice activism, and hopefully in that way to start to see themselves as future professionals who can impact the world around them. So Nikki asked me when I was thinking about how to fill this up with, she asked me, well, so what's KRESA doing? And I loved that question because it gave me the opportunity to ask that of my colleagues. And I have 2 slides here that just reflect the answers that I got. What KRESA has done is probably what many other institutions around town have done in terms of energy efficiency and trying to modernize the HVAC and waste management initiatives that minimize environmental impact. And obviously the KRESA does this both for environmental stewardship and fiscal responsibility. And as we come closer to opening this new Career Connect campus, that beautiful building that's going up at the intersection of 94 and Sprinkle, we have an opportunity to, that's the place where we're centralizing career and tech education, right? So KRESA has had a decentralized model, and the millage that passed in 2019, which was the resources that allowed my team to be hired to do this K-12 work, is also part of what is building this new centralized Career Connect campus that will bring together the career and tech classes that have been happening in high schools all over the county. So it's a big step forward, we hope, in terms of equity, as students all have access to transportation in a centralized location. And the environmental sustainability contribution of this center, what I learned is that using mass timber is a responsible and renewable choice. So I didn't get an answer about LEED certification, but I did get that there was a lot of thought put into how to make this building both sustainable and also connected to nature, the windows and the water features. And I think it will be a lovely space for students to be in and not feel institutionalized. So that's KRESA's current state. So now we get to my job, which is managing this program. It's a fellowship program called Career Champions. We launched it when I came to KRESA, the idea being that if we could identify and support educators who were already predisposed to do innovative work around connecting students to their future paths, and again, helping sort of bridge the divide between disciplinary academic work and those future ready skills that we know students will need to be successful after they graduate from high school. So the Career Champions program is in its 4th year. Oh, I'll say that in a minute. First, let me tell you what we're going to do, what we're trying to do. And that is to develop this kind of core of educators, K-12 throughout the county, who work closely with us to innovate and deploy resources using Zello, the platform that we all have in common. We're trying to build relationships. There's innovation, everything from educators who do mock interviews as part of their business classes, to folks who are organizing career fairs, to folks who are just highlighting. For example, if you are teaching and include team or group work in your classroom, even just making sure students are aware that that opportunity to work across difference, to collaborate, and work effectively in a team is one of the most sought after skills that employers are looking for in their new hires these days. So, and we hope that we're building an ongoing learning community of folks who are sharing resources and information as we build towards this sort of more comprehensive county-wide culture of career development. So it's the fourth year of the program. It started small and we are at over 70 K-12 educators this year. We've got 18 different teams of career champions who are each working on a different project. 8 of the 9 public school districts in the county are represented, as well as El Concilio has a team this year, which is very exciting. And we've got several teams that are doing sort of inter-district theme-based work. So there's a team that working with the Kalamazoo Public Library to develop some ideas around career literacy and books that highlight and showcase careers that we could get into students' hands. There's a team of educators who work with multilingual learners, thinking about how we can ensure that newcomers to our area are provided with the resources and support that they need to be successful in their future planning. And we've got this climate change careers team, which I promise I'm going to talk about very soon. But the Career Champions program as a whole offers each educator a little stipend, and then each team has access to resources that they can use for their project. Here are again some of the projects that have been happening over the last few years, everything from mock interviews to Idea Slam, where teams of students come up with an invention and get to pitch it to a group of kind of Shark Tank panels. There are teachers who have actually hired students through their schools to do jobs that need to be done around the school, and then paid them with treats from Five Below that connect to the career that they were doing, to lessons that align with Zello, to guest speakers, all kinds of things these folks are doing across the county. And now I'm excited to introduce the folks who are on the Climate Careers team this year. It's first year this has happened, and it's happening because of the 3 individuals that I'm going to show you now. I think Allie is actually on the call, and I'm excited that she's here, and I hope that she'll chime in at any point with information about the project that I am supporting her on. So our first team member is Allie, who is the lead instructor for the conservation biology class at Heronwood. It's amazing what she is doing in that class. She's got a whole career unit where, again, students who are lucky enough to be in that class do get the opportunity to think about their strengths and their interests and how those might point them towards certain kinds of careers that also can align with their passions for protecting the planet. So grateful to have Allie as one of the teammates. Our second person on the Climate Careers Career Champion team is Danielle Polson. You may know her. She has been a science educator at Portage Northern for 24 years, winning awards and being innovative and having an extensive connection and network with folks who are doing environmental sustainability teaching around the region and the state. So really grateful to have her expertise. Then the third person on this team, and I should say that I invited them to come and do this talking, but because they're teachers, they weren't necessarily able to do that work during the school day. But Marty Bueller is our third team member, and he used to be teach AP Sciences in Hastings and is now the Science Olympiad director at Western. Again, bringing another really great network into the event that we are about to talk about. Marty's other claim to fame is that he, in Hastings, was the organizer of a climate symposium that brought students from all over the state in very early 2020, one of the last events that happened in person. And since that time, that climate symposium has happened online under the direction of a group of students at the Battle Creek Area Math and Science Center. So I did want to point out that we have also, in addition to Marty and Danielle and Allie, we've gotten some great input and assistance and direction from Dr. Webb again, and from Jeremy Crunk, who is a new addition to the Battle Creek Area Math and Science Center and is the teacher doing a climate unit who will be working with those students as they, again, this year, create a virtual opportunity for students, high school students, to come together around climate change issues. So wanted to make sure that people knew that we are connected to them, even as we look at creating a face-to-face event. The educators on this Climate Champions team recognize the power and the value of having students get opportunities to be in person with career professionals so that they can, practice those soft skills, get the opportunity to network and make eye contact and ask questions and learn from folks in person. So these are the questions that were in the description of today's talk, and they really are the driving questions that have led us to create the Working for the Climate event. How can we support young people, many of whom are not that hopeful about their future career paths? What are the opportunities here in our area? Maybe not at the state or national level, because maybe we're hopeful that some of our young folks will choose to stay here in Southwest Michigan. What are the opportunities here to launch careers that can positively impact the climate crisis? And how widely is climate change impacting people's professions? So those are the questions we're hoping to get to with this workshop that will take place now on Earth Day. We had initially scheduled this for February and then found that that date was break day for several districts. So we've now rescheduled Working for the Climate, a climate careers workshop for high school students. It'll take place on Tuesday, April 22nd in the morning. We're really excited about the early responses that we've gotten to starting as we start to promote this event. There are a lot of people who are excited that it's on Earth Day. We think because it's a during the school day activity and therefore eligible to be a field trip, that teachers or club advisors can bring their students to, that it's a great way for us to maybe lay the foundation for an annual event that will, again, link up career exploration, that future focus that we're trying to support students in, with some of the things that they're doing in classes and in clubs in schools around the county and the region. So this event will take place from 9 a.m. to 12:30. I think I have I have an agenda. What we're thinking is going to happen is students will arrive from their schools around 9-ish. There will be opportunities to look at and maybe engage hands-on with some of the sustainability initiatives that are happening in our area. We've already had several folks offer to come with hands-on interesting things for students to touch and learn from during that time when schools are arriving and there's registration happening. There will be a keynote talk. We are in the process of finalizing who that person will be, so you're gonna have to stay in touch if you wanna know who is keynoting this event. And then what we're going to do is have this panel of 6 different career professionals. And you can see that I put the 6 career zones on this slide so that you could again be reminded that our goal is, we think of climate jobs probably usually under that engineering, manufacturing, industrial career zone, but we want to make the case and build the connection between all 6 career zones and future career opportunities where students can find meaningful ways to impact things they care about, especially the climate. So that's our idea, that we'll have 6 folks on a panel, kind of comparing notes in front of the whole audience. And then we will break into workshops where we can invite many more career professionals to engage in smaller, informal conversations with students. So with that being said, it might be helpful for you to see who are the folks who've already signed on. And we've got the column on the left there is the career paths that we already have someone, we believe we already have someone represented, in some cases 2 or 3. And I do want to say that there's not a limit, right? So when we go into these breakout sessions, if this is something that might be interesting to you, you would like to engage with young people in the breakout session, I don't think there's such a thing as too many professionals in the room. We have the capacity for 120 young people to attend this, along with their educator sponsors. So wouldn't it be wonderful if there was a student ratio that was small enough that every student was getting to have a meaningful conversation with a professional? So don't hold back, because you see your path already represented. But then on the right side, again, this is thinking about what we saw in Zello, about what students think they are aiming to do, and what we saw in that data about national career paths, and what we saw in the state and local high demand, high wage job information. There's a whole list of people that we would still love to secure if they can speak to either how their profession is being impacted by the changing climate, and or how they are impacting climate change in the work that they do. So that's wide open, right? I mean, for example, I love that we have an insurance agent on the list, because the wildfires and flooding are certainly showing us that the whole insurance industry is super impacted by the way that the climate is changing. So I would make the case that there are very few career paths that we couldn't identify that connection. And how cool would it be for a young person to see that the career path they've been thinking of doesn't preclude them from staying involved in some of the activism that has been meaningful to them. So how can you support this? Probably pretty obvious that I am inviting all of you and your friends and neighbors and connections to consider signing on to be a speaker at this event. Especially we're interested in those careers that we haven't yet connected with. You might know someone who can tell that story, right? About how their work in a profession that we haven't even considered is really being impacted by climate change. And we know that the generation in school now is by far the most diverse generation ever in our region. And we want to make sure that every student who comes to this event sees themselves. So we're especially looking for folks who reflect the diversity of our student population. So maybe you know someone who comes from a background, a different lived experience than me, or than most of the middle-class white folks who are educators in our school districts. And we would love to hear from them, especially as well. The other thing that you can do to help, and I will put all of the links again in the chat after I turn the slides off in a sec, is to spread the word to educators that you know, high schoolers that you know, folks who might benefit from being part of this, and let them know that we are now accepting registrations for the event. We anticipate that it will fill. So if there are folks who might want to bring their after school environmental club, or who might want to bring their AP bio class, or who might want to bring whomever signs up when they announce this in their church group even, or after school organization. We would love to start filling those slots, and you could help us spread the word about that. And that is what I wanted to say. So I am the person that you can follow up with. So I made sure that my email address is there. I am working in support of Allie and Danielle and Marty. And maybe if Allie is on the call still and wants to jump in with anything that I've missed, I would love to yield the floor to her if she's interested in saying a word or two.
Hi, Joan. Good job. That was great. I don't have anything to add. I just want to say hi. And you can also reach out to me. I am the teacher at the Nature Center. So if you have any thoughts or questions, my email is just aspring@naturecenter.org. But I think Joan did a really great job of explaining this. But yeah, if you have questions, you can let us know.
Does anybody have any questions? Jeff?
Hi, thanks, Dickie. Joan, I'll connect with you by email. I can think of ways that my office here at Western can probably connect you to others. In particular, there's a group of Honors College students who want to host an event about sustainability with families and high schoolers around the same time. And I'm wondering if they might shift toward your event or help you or cross promote, or one event could strengthen the other. So I'll try to talk to you more about that.
You are speaking my language. So yes, let's do it better together. So we'd love that.
And there's an Envirothon developing on Western's campus in the months ahead that I'm learning about too. So I'll think of both those things, and there may be some possibilities there for all of us.
Crystal, I think that's you on the iPhone.
Yes, hello. I definitely want to help with this. This sounds really, really cool. And Jeff, it reminds me that like one of those careers that may be less thought of is graphic designing. And I know you always have graphic designers at the Office for Sustainability, so maybe tapping that would be pretty cool. So yeah, and I'm an electrical engineer, so it is one of those careers that are more thought of in the climate space, but I definitely would like to help and maybe even speak. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tom?
Hi, Joan. Thank you. That was fascinating. You've got a great new job. I hope you're enjoying it. I just wanted to tell you what you already know, which is that KCCC is looking to train 150 people in the trades the coming 3 years. And so, if you don't have somebody doing trades training, we have some partners that I think could step forward. So let's reach out on that. My other comment is that years ago, I worked as a teacher on board a trailer that was traveling around to middle and high schools with hands-on learning of machine tool technology and computer controlled devices. This was years before we had cell phones, so go back on your technology a little bit. But there were students who were terrible students, were not academic, who were bright and got inspired by the hands-on kind of stuff. And again, I'm probably not telling you anything new, but having had firsthand experience with it, it was magical. The kind of turn on and students who were headed down the auto theft road started programming machine tools. They got so sucked into it. So, lives were changed. And and people were directed into jobs that they were capable of mastering, even though they may have been dyslexic or had other learning disabilities, or or just totally disinterested because they were so smart they were bored. So there's a world of students out there who need to be tapped into, and there are ways to do it.
I feel like you just did the best promotion ever of KRESA's Discovery Lab, which is doing today exactly what you described, traveling around to middle schools all over the county, and giving students opportunities to do simulated welding, to do robotics and supply chain, and to do, what's the other one? Oh, laser. So CNC machine programming. So that's happening right now, thanks to some very generous partners, and some of my colleagues who've been working on it. We're gonna take out the manufacturing that's been in there this last couple of years and put in information technology starting next fall. So same kind of idea. And the statistics, which probably you well know, are that for every 10 jobs that our students will have access to, only one of them requires advanced education beyond a bachelor's. Only 2 of them require bachelor's, and 7 of them require those apprenticeships, short-term training, associate's degrees, more concentrated stackable credentials. So you're exactly right, Tom. It's important work and important for us, many of us who have kind of strong academic backgrounds, to recognize that most of our young people may go in a different direction after high school, and that there is a bright future for them. Thanks.
Rebecca, you are next.
You figured it out. And thank you for being here, everybody. I'm here, Rebecca Stathman, as a part of my work with Home Care Coordination, which is one of the partners that was just mentioned, doing 75, we hope, of the 150 focused modular apprenticeship ready is one of the catchy phrases. Trainings that's going to be working here. And Jenny, it's good to see you. I think we get a chance to talk a little bit more about how this is all going to work out and implement pretty shortly. But Joan, I wanted to mention that I'm going to put Mark Lee's climate change story in the chat here as well. He's the Better World Builders owner and the founder of my nonprofit that is going to be doing the actual workforce development trainings with weatherization and associated crafts. So as far as the building trades or construction trades, most of what they do is retrofitting for home performance weatherization stuff. But it might be very appropriate for what you're looking for in terms of additional folks. So I'm going to send a couple things from your presentation over to Mark and see if there's a availability and interest in supporting that event you've got coming up on Earth Day. Thank you.
And he may find an invitation kind of buried in his email if he gets another touch about that. So that'd be great.
A little bump. Thank you so much, Joan.
Okay, Jenny, you're next.
Hey, y'all. Thank you, Joan. I will follow up with you via email to get you my new email address and stay on board for the Career Champions event. I will come with you in my new role. And then I want to piggyback off of both Rebecca and Tom. I think it would be great to connect students with the workforce development training opportunities. And then there's also going to be, so there'll be 2 waves of job postings coming out. One will be, the second one will be for 3 internship roles that we're calling climate ambassadors, which may be, if you have graduating seniors, opportunities for some of those kids to jump directly into some community climate justice work in Kalamazoo. And those positions will be stationed at the neighborhood associations, either the North Side, the Edison, East Side, or West Douglas. And they will help organize education events and connect community members with the Community Change Grant Holistic Healthy Homes Project. So I'll send you information. We don't have those job descriptions written yet, but I'll send you those internship positions when we get them, and they will be ready in time for that April event date. So
That's great.
yeah,
Great. Thanks. And
Thank you.
congratulations.
thank you.
Okay, Crystal, you're up again.
Sorry, I thought of the other thing I was going to say. If you are looking for hands-on activities, I used to be on the solar car team at Western, and they're usually pretty willing to come out to things. And it's a good, it has batteries, it has solar cells. So if you have a parking lot, that would obviously be the easiest way. I don't know if there's a parking lot at this event, but yeah, so it might be another cool, like, show and tell type piece, I guess. So yeah, just something to think about.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. And we do have a big parking lot.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I have contact with a couple people still on the solar car team if you need that. So yeah.
Okay, looks like Steve finally came up with a question.
Actually, it's more of just an observation that college professor was not on your list of potential jobs. So if that's appropriate, I think I could get a few there.
I love that idea. Do you see the link to speaker confirmation form? If you click that link, it will take you to a form where you can indicate your interest and availability during those time slots of the morning. So, and feel free to share all of these things with anyone you think might be a good complement to what we've got. And again, I will highlight our strong commitment to representing the diversity of our student population and really seeking to welcome and include folks who might come from different backgrounds and experiences. So thank you.
Okay, Deb, you have a question?
Yes, I saw some of the ways you were encouraging students to ask their teachers to let them come to this. What other ways are you promoting it?
It's a great question. And again, I would love for Allie to jump in if she wants to, because I might not get the acronyms right, but I believe that Eagle is putting this in their K-12 educator newsletter in the next week or two. I believe that KBS is putting it in their K-12 educator newsletter. We think maybe we have it going into the Michigan State MISTA, which science teachers. So our connections are primarily K-12 teachers. If you have other ideas, we're wide open to suggestions. Thanks.
With that broad group, having it promoted to, are you welcoming people outside the Kalamazoo district?
Yeah, in fact, we already have folks from Mendon signed up. So yes, if people are willing to travel and get to us, then we are willing to include them.
Great, thank you.
Steve again.
Yeah, so the MyCan might be another place to promote, especially they are sort of spearheading a higher education network around the state. So expanding the connections there to the education community that way.
Any last words from anybody?
And thank
Tom?
you all so much for your enthusiastic response to this idea. I really do hope, I've been telling Allie and her teammates that if we could get this going for a couple of years, it might become like the thing that happens on Earth Day in our community. So for young people, so I have high hopes and I appreciate your enthusiasm. Thanks.
And Tom, you had a...
Joan, you showed a QR code for access to your presentation slides. Can you put that up again so I can get it?
At this point, as I was saying earlier, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.